Hello, and welcome to Hedgehog Storytime, where I read my weird original fiction. The following story is part of the Mayhem Cerebrum project, linked to the playlist in the description below. Yes, you have to read them all. No, that is not a request.
We're back with some shenanigans. Listen, after the intensity and weirdness of last week's story, we need some shenanigans in our lives, okay? Okay. I actually watched Big Trouble in Little China to make this episode. I said, well, if I'm gonna name it after Big Trouble in Little China, I should probably actually have seen that movie. It's a time. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's a weird fucking movie. But anyway, without further ado, here is Big Trouble in Little Akuma, Part 1.
You know, maybe that Kimiko bitch ain't as much of a raging cunt as I thought she was.
The steam made it a little hard to tell, but with his arms behind his head and his eyes closed, Bake probably looked incredibly content. It was hard not to be when bathing at the classiest bathhouse in Akuma-cho. The water was full of herbal gunk of some sort, and the air was moist and cloudy. He leaned back on the marble tile and sighed.
I'm just worried she's gonna pull the cameras out.
Jack was a little less content, as this was an Akuma-style bathhouse, no shit, meaning they were a little less clothed than Jack might have preferred. Of course, he would have been fine with it if everybody present was following the rules. It's a peace offering, idiot. Kay's arms were crossed over her chest, but otherwise she looked unbothered. Why would she want blackmail? She already got what she wanted.
You can always use blackmail, Jack insisted. And shouldn't you be in the ladies' bath?
She gave us the whole place. Nobody's gonna walk in. And who the hell wants to go to the baths all by themselves?
Relax, Jack, Bake chuckled. It's not like her tits are gonna bite ya.
Or are you upset you didn't get alone time? Kay mock pouted. Jack's eyes narrowed.
Yeah, he won't sword fight me when he's showing off for some more.
I honestly can't tell if you're joking or not.
Of fucking course I am, you bummy nit, he growled. Aw, man, really?
Bake looked genuinely disappointed.
And here I was all set to start sharpening, but now I'm just sitting here with my dick in my hand.
You really don't need to illustrate.
Put that thing away, mate.
Aside from the usual squabbles, however, all three found themselves thinking how much they deserved a day like this. Kay was secretly patting herself on the back for hinting to Kimiko that Bake was a simple creature who could very easily be bought. When she had offered the private use of her finest bathhouse for the afternoon, he of course had been caught, hook, line, and sinker. He'd been a little disappointed that it wasn't the kind with hookers, but Kimiko couldn't very well offer one of those to him with Kay literally right there. It was bro code or something similar. Sis code. No, that sounds really fucking stupid. Regardless, it would have violated some rule of friendship, so Bake wouldn't have to make do. With Kay having snuck into the men's bath, it wasn't as if he was missing much anyway.
Hey, what's that shit in the water? Bake asked. Think I could smoke it?
You could try, but I sincerely doubt it'd do anything except season your insides. Kay rolled her eyes.
Could be novel.
He seemed to seriously consider it.
Usually I'm the one doing the spit roasting.
Shh! Jack interrupted suddenly, putting a hand up. Bake made a retort, but promptly shut up when he saw the look on Jack's face. As he sniffed the air, Jack's eyes narrowed.
I thought you said we had the place to ourselves.
We do? Kay tensed. Jack sniffed again and cocked his head to one side.
Not for long.
No sooner had the words left his mouth than they heard the dull bang of gunfire outside. A moment later, a whole coterie of suited men barreled through the door, pointing a very large number of guns in their faces.
Hands where I can see them.
The intruder's voice came out muffled, and through the steam, Kay finally made out the fact that all of their faces were covered with white and red fox masks. The Tea Party complied, but not without complaint. Unless Jack's got a knife up his ass, do you really think we could be hiding anything? Kay did a half-decent job of feigning calm.
The one fucking day I forget my ass blade.
Hey, I don't blame him, Bake chimed in. In this town, you never fucking know. I mean, shit, I'm armed right now. Don't move, one of the men shouted, aiming his machine gun directly at Bake's smug expression. Despite the warning, he continued to reach behind his back. He stood and revealed that in his hand he held nothing. Just his fingers in the shape of a gun. The fox-masked assailants looked at each other, then back at Bake.
Put your damn finger away, one of them growled, taking a step around the bath to approach. We're not here to joke around. You think I am? Bake laughed.
Wait, you think I am?
No. I'm being entirely serious. My finger is a weapon of mass destruction.
He winked at Kay.
Shimamura, go shut him up.
The guy with the biggest gun commanded, and the man who was already halfway around the pool started towards him again.
You really want to try me, huh?
Bake asked, and Shimamura paused as he saw his expression. Despite the fact that the room's temperature had dropped by about 3 degrees, Shimamura's mask was slipping down just a bit from his sweat. But suddenly, he straightened and took another few steps forward.
Nah, you're bluffing.
You think? Of course I do. All you're gonna do is point your fucking finger in my face. Bang! Against the highly acoustic tile, the boom of the gunshot rang through their heads. Jack just about dived under the water from the sheer force of it. This sound was very quickly followed by the slightly quieter thump of Shimamura's body hitting the floor. The white tile and the masks of the intruders were both splattered with red. For a solid minute, everyone looked down in shock. Everybody except Bake, who brought his still extended index finger to his mouth and blew on it.
Anybody else want to try?
He asked, his voice echoing in the sudden silence. And nobody did. At least not until Kimiko's men got there a minute later. The masked men submitted themselves quietly, and Bake waved at them as they were led away. "Kay, are you all right?" Her kimono fluttering behind her, Kimiko burst into the room, embracing her friend with all 6 of her arms. "I'm fine," she insisted, as Kimiko promptly wrapped her in a floral patterned towel. "I think you should be more concerned about the dead guy in the corner." Briefly, she glanced over at the fox mask and grimaced, before turning back to the tea party and bowing deeply. "My sincerest apologies." She looked down at the ground. "I never thought that our enemies would dare attack the Umi no Shinju."
"It was no sweat."
Bake waved her off, looking a little uncomfortable by the level of formality.
"But, just who were those guys?"
"Members of the Kita family," she admitted without hesitation. "Though the Yamashita rule most of Akumacho, the Kita remain our biggest rivals. If we relax for but a moment, they may push us out entirely. Damn foxes." Even Kay was surprised to see her so impassioned. On the other hand, Bake was growing very characteristically excited.
"Hey, Jack, we got anything on the old schedule today?" "What the fuck are you asking me?" "You're right, that was stupid of me. Kay?"
She sighed deeply. "Fox hunting, I suppose you want me to say?"
"You're goddamn right."
"I don't understand." Kimiko was starting to look worried.
"Well, think of it this way," Bake drawled. "It's one thing for one of your bathhouses to get held up, right? But this one's at the very heart of your empire. Not only that, but why specifically come after me? Now, I didn't even know who those fuckers were, but now I know them as the losers who thought they could fuck with me and win. And I want to know why."
Kimiko looked wildly out of her depth. Even if Kay had coached her a bit, she still had trouble comprehending the way Bake ran things. "Please, this is a simple spat between families. It would be highly dishonorable for you to get involved."
Jack laughed, and Bake glanced down at her with a pitying smile. "Frankly, I don't give a damn about your honor. I want to know who the hell these guys think they are."
"Very well." Kimiko bowed again. "You have free reign of our territory to begin your search, though I cannot guarantee your safety in the rest of Akumacho."
"Won't need it." Bake waved her off. "I got the best guard dog in this half of the cosmos."
Jack grinned broadly, but it fell off his face as Kay cleared her throat loudly. "That's all fine and well there, cowboy, but maybe you should put some pants on first." Bake looked downward for a moment.
"Huh."
He shrugged.
"Yeah, that might help."
Akumacho was a bustling hub of activity. The fragrant smells of the various restaurants and street vendors forced their way into their nostrils. Pretty ladies waved down from the balconies of a wide variety of brothels and tea houses, and more than one store window had a whole duck spinning on rotisserie wheels. Kay and Jack had been here before, many times in fact. In Bake's absence, Akumacho had become one of the livelier parts of town. Malachi had effectively shut down the top of the hill to all but the richest, most pretentious cocksuckers, so the fun had to go elsewhere. The distillery district had always been a mainstay, of course, but Akumacho was new and happening and offered many varied methods of debauchery. But while Kay and Jack didn't pay the surroundings much mind, Bake was like a kid in a candy store. He almost looked like a tourist, stopping to gawk at the most mundane of things. The two had to pull him away from 2 different geishas.
You know, Jack muttered, I'm starting to wonder if there weren't certain ulterior motives at play when it comes to sticking our noses in this whole Yakuza business.
Kay rolled her eyes. Oh? What tipped you off?
Hey, listen.
Somehow Bake had managed to procure a stick of dango when they weren't looking and was now chewing thoughtfully on the tip.
I've never been to Akuma. Kind of sprang up while I was taking my little power nap, so forgive me for wanting an excuse.
Sighing, Kay prepared herself for a long haul. Even if Kimiko was here, Kay wasn't always the biggest fan of this part of town. That all-too-familiar feeling of being out of place started to creep up on her again. That feeling that had finally seemed to be a less prominent part of her brain space recently. At least around here, she could tell what caused it. Though Discord's broader population was certainly a strange mix of all sorts, here they were the ones who looked abnormal. Akuma was the home base for the yokai in the city, after all. There were people smaller than them and much taller. They had animal features, some of them, ears and tails and wings, skin in all shades of the rainbow. There were even some typically inanimate objects that were very much not. It made Kay uncomfortable to be so different, but Bake seemed to revel in it. She couldn't tell if it was because he wasn't the weirdest looking guy around or because he just liked standing out in a crowd. Jack was similarly irritable, but he usually hated crowds anyway. Unless he was shit-faced. Then he loved them. So, are we planning on doing any actual investigating, or are we just sightseeing? Kay asked. Bake blinked at her, his mouth full of dango.
What are you talking about?
He swallowed loudly.
That's what we've been doing. Hate to break it to you, brother. Don't think the geisha are gonna know anything.
Well, I mean, they certainly know some things. He elbowed Jack, then cleared his throat when neither he nor Kay looked amused.
Look, I'll just show you.
Abruptly, he started walking off into a nearby alley. Kay and Jack shared an exasperated look and followed after. The alleys in Akuma tended to be a little wider than most in Discord, though since Discord didn't really have much in the way of streets besides the trolley tracks, it was sometimes a little hard to tell the difference. Overall, though, there were a lot more entrances to apartments and back alley businesses than was normal. Bake's eyes briefly drifted over to a large awning, behind which flickered the open entrance to a mahjong parlor. Please don't tell me you let us back here to play mahjong, Kay sighed.
Would that I could, but alas, that game's way too fucking complicated for me. He looked disappointed in himself. Or maybe I'm always just too shit-faced to get it. The original's alright, Jack opined suddenly. But as soon as you start getting into Ricci, everything starts breaking down. You gotta get a fucking chart just to figure out all the scoring, or maybe a couple. It's just not worth it at that point.
You know, I really hate it when he suddenly starts sounding intelligent. Kay shivered. Why do you know how to play mahjong? Jack just shrugged.
Got bored. Was never really very good at it, though. And after a while, nobody'd sit down with me anymore. They didn't like what happened when I lost.
Kay was way beyond reacting when he grinned like that. That's more like it. The two of them were so concerned with bitching at each other that neither of them noticed Bake was no longer listening. He was watching the way they'd come from, and when he finally saw what he was waiting for, he turned back to them and put an arm around each of their shoulders.
Good job stalling long enough for them to notice we're conspicuously alone in an empty alley, but now we might want to duck.
He forced them both down to the ground as something soared over their heads. Kay and Jack blinked in astonishment as someone in dark, tight-fitting robes landed in front of them, hands balled into fists. On his face was another white and red fox mask.
Are they sending fucking ninjas after us now?
Jack asked incredulously.
I mean, considering that he hasn't been particularly stealthy and there's like 10 of his buddies behind us, I think he's just a standard martial artist, but what do I really know?
Bake shrugged before stepping aside, letting a kick go right past where his head had just been.
Oh, bloody hell.
Jack pulled the switchblade out of his pocket. Kay proceeded to do what she did best in a fight and got the fuck out of the way, dragging Bake after her.
Jeez, I feel kind of bad leaving Jack to take on like 10 fucking dudes, but he could probably handle it.
They crouched behind a crate, but Bake was surprised when Kay glared at him. I didn't pull you back here to hide. I wanted to get you out of the line of fire so you can do that thing from earlier.
That thing?
You know, the thing. She shaped her fingers into a gun to demonstrate.
Oh, that thing. Well, you think I can just do that whenever I want?
Yes?
If I could just kill people by pointing at them, do you think I'd be satisfied running this shithole? No, I had help.
What kind of help?
The kind that's not here right now.
So what, we just leave Jack to fend for himself? Bake peeked over the crate.
I mean, for what it's worth, I'd say he's doing all right. No thanks to you lot,
Jack called back before jamming his knife into one of the attacker's guts.
They're actually making it easy on me by going one at a time.
Why are they doing that? Kay mumbled. Dunno, maybe it's an honor thing. Bake shrugged.
It's bloody well stupid is what it is.
Jack dodged past an extended fist and landed his own kick into the thug's side. Two of the remaining men in the back looked at each other as if to ask, why are we doing it like this? And ran up to join their third companion.
Ah, fuck!
Jack spat. He threw a few more punches, swung a few times with the switchblade, but the remaining 4 to 5 highly trained martial artists proved too much for one slightly tough freak who just mostly liked the bleeding part of the whole fighting thing. Kay tried to stand. She had no idea what she would actually do, but she couldn't just sit there and watch Jack get the snot kicked out of him, even if he was a greasy little creep. But Bake stopped her.
Just wait, he whispered. Jack knows what he's doing.
One of the thugs whacked him on the back of the neck, and he went down like a wet sack of sand. Which is?
Giving us the chance to get the fuck out of here.
Bake glanced over at the edge of the alley and snapped his fingers. All at once, all 5 of the remaining thugs' heads shot up as from right where Bake was looking came the resounding cry of, "Sayonara, idiots!" And 2 figures ran around the corner and out of sight. 4 of them immediately took off, and the other hoisted the unconscious Jack over his shoulders and followed behind. Was that supposed to be us?
Yeah, pretty cool, right?
Sure, yeah, one problem.
What's that?
My tits aren't that big, and you know it.